Good evening. I have a bit of vintage computer fun for us today. In this bag is, well, a vintage computer. Not terribly vintage, but still. Given the width of this bag, you'll know it's rather large, potentially. It's made by Dolch, or Dolch, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Dolch. And this is not just a computer, but it's actually a tool. So, I'm gonna open this up. It reveals the goodness. Now, the latch is broken that holds the keyboard on, but that's okay. I'll fix that later. So this is a Dolch PAC 486-66, and given the model number, we can deduce that it's a 66 megahertz 486 processor. The keyboard has cherry switches, and this unit is rather complete. I have been wanting a Lunchbox Formfactor computer for a very long time. The problem is that when you find them, they either don't work, are missing the keyboard, or are priced incredibly out of the range of what I would want to spend on one of these. This one seemed to meet most of the criteria. It looked a lot better in the pictures on the auction than when I saw it in person. It's covered in what I would guess is mold. I'm not quite sure. What I do know is after handling it and then itching myself, I regretted that decision. But let's see what happens when you plug it in. Alright, I think that's plugged in. Ah! Well, that's what I get for one-handed mojo. Okay. So the keyboard is completely removable, or I just broke it. No, I'm just kidding. It's completely removable. But interestingly enough, the keyboard cable is separate. Now, I mentioned earlier that this is a tool. And so this tool is actually a network analyzer in Sniffer. And so it comes with a serial Microsoft mouse and all kinds of adapters and goodies. Mostly it's just RJ45 to DB9 stuff. And then we got an AUI to twisted pair adapter in here. That's handy. And the keyboard cable. And so on one side of this keyboard cable, it is PS2, and on the other end it is AT. So the AT one plugs into here. Hopefully I can do this without pushing it off the table. Okay. And then this plugs into here. Beautimous. Okay, and then we have our cards. Now, this is obviously a network card of some kind. There's only 4 pins in that port, but it's the same width as an RJ45, so I'm not sure what that's about. This is your more standard issue Ethernet card. I have no idea what this card is. This is probably parallel and serial and VGA. I'm not sure which card drives the display. We'll get to figure that out in a few minutes. Over on this side, we have a floppy drive, and on later models, they had a CD drive wedged in here above it. Maybe there's a space in there for it. I don't know. We'll find out later. The display is a 640 by 480 TFT display, and it is a beautiful one at that. So let's go ahead and fire this up. Dolch Computer Systems Pit Viper TFT controller, 16 megabytes of RAM, 486 EISA. Perhaps that's a clue as to what lies inside. And then here we got Network General Sniffer, Wellfleet Site Manager, Shiva Net Manager, EAN 4000 Manager, IP/IPX WS, whatever that means, CMS 400 Hub or WS, all other applications, and MS-DOS with no applications. Well, let's just go here. Go into MS-DOS. And you can tell it's DOS 6.22. Looks like Windows is on there, so if I go into Windows, it's Windows 3.1. Good old Windows 3.1. I forgot to plug in the mouse. That's okay. Can you hot plug a serial mouse? I think so, actually. The PS2 ones didn't play so nice. But there's a place back here to stick it. And okay, I lied. It's not hot pluggable. That's okay. We can just exit Windows and go back in like that. Bam. If only it was that easy nowadays. And we have mouse. Okay. So the hard drive in this thing, there's a lot of programs installed, by the way. I'm definitely going to be making an image of this hard drive. I don't think I'm going to use it for network analysis, but I will definitely hang on to all the hardware and the cards that go with it. Or I'll hang on to all the software and the hardware that goes with it. Looks like there's 263 megabytes of total hard drive space. So, let's see. F disk. Display. And yeah, 258 megabyte hard drive. That's pretty sweet. Alright. And in the BIOS, sure, we'll just do it again. Norton Antivirus. Wow. It's got Norton Antivirus. There's no floppy in there. Okay, this is what I get for trying to reboot the computer from within Windows. No big deal. I'll just turn it off and back on. So the BIOS is an AMI BIOS. Delete, delete. Wow, it's like Jamaican color scheme. So it's pretty traditional old AMI BIOS. Drive C is a user type. 944 cylinders, 14 heads, 40 sectors. Okay. The date and time was correct when I received it. That was pretty cool. So it is a fully functional unit in the sense. If I let it boot, let's try picking one of the programs and see what it looks like. IPX, sure. IPX Ethernet. Oh, token ring. So the other network adapter is a token ring adapter of sorts. That's kind of cool. It's very angry. Very, very angry. LD file. Install a packet driver for your Ethernet interface and run this program again. Okay, so it's fairly broken. I'm not sure I'm really interested in going and fixing everything, but there are definitely some programs on here that I'm going to want to keep. There's some really cool utilities and stuff. But it's a nice machine. It's a nice packaged 486, and it's got a network card in it, and we can add some multimedia functionality, and this will be great. It'll be a great little vintage machine I can lug around with me and mess with. Perhaps we should install OS2. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh well. Alright, well, that's the software. How is this thing built? I know a way to find out. Okay, so here's the unit laying on its front. And we have a tag down here. Dolch Computer Systems, a division of Dolch American Industries, I think that's what that says, Inc. Model number 48666ED. Here is the serial number. Power 90 to 250 volts, 45 to 65 hertz, 275 watts. And this thing has these feet. Oh, that's kind of neat. There's feet on this to tilt the whole unit so you can angle the display. The display wasn't adjustable like my P70 is, so I was kind of wondering what they did about that, and I guess that answers that. On the back here, we also have an FCC ID. We have a piece of clear packaging tape that says Southeast Atlanta. Okay. And we have Made in USA. I don't know who those USA people are, but they make some good stuff, or at least they used to. So I took the screws out. Let's have a peek here. I suspect there's goodies inside. Well, there's definitely some metal shielding. There's nothing on the back here. And we got a metal shield here. We got some open space here. And we got cards here. And judging by an initial glance, that is in fact an ESA slot. So that's pretty sweet actually. Alright, so screwdriver. Where is the screwdriver? Ah, on the side here. Okay. So looks like somebody's had this screw out before. Take this out. And that looks like a screw randomly wedged in there. See right there? It's just kind of how you doing. Does it actually go to anything? Oh, it's supposed to be like that. That's cute. These are adjustable retainers for each card. Pretty crazy. Alright, so what do we have inside? Alright, so let's take a glance at the cards we got. Oh, I see a thing back here. Screen manufacturer, NEC. There's a model number and some other stuff. Okay. This has an i960 on it. There's a bunch of RAM. Wow, there's all kinds of stuff on this card. Let's take this card out. Now it's in the third slot up from the bottom. So let's see what we got. Alright, carefully rock this out with one hand. Wow, that is elaborate to say the least. Looks like I see a date code of the 5th week of 1994, so it's safe to say that the system was built sometime in late 1994, maybe early 1995. Man, so it looks like you got some RAM here. This is potentially SRAM. It's RAM of a different flavor. Wow, this is quite the card. And that's all through hole. And it's all on one side. There's some diagnostic LEDs hanging out right here. Copyright 1993, Network General Corp, made in USA. The model on the card is Linda Mike 2000 Revision D. Okay. 3-position jumper. This is quite an elaborate card. So that must be what some of these adapters actually go to, because there's a bunch of these adapters in here. Okay. I'll have to see if I can find the manual to this computer to figure out what some of this stuff actually does. But there's just all kinds of stuff in here. All right, let's take out another card and see what we got. This is fun. Let's see. This next card is going to be the network card itself. And it's a very interesting looking card. It's pretty elaborate for a network card. Wow. This card is copyright 1993, Cogent Data Technologies. It's got an Intel KU82596SX-20. Interesting. It's a 32 megahertz crystal here in the corner. And there's no other real information on this. There's, it says up here, eMaster ATS. And then on this side here, we have part number 727001-01, and there's another sticker that says 01 after that. There's a serial number. And, I didn't have this stuff earlier. The I/O base address is 300. It's set to IRQ11, DMA 6 with no PROM, LAN A. Now, these settings you actually have to specify in software. They got messed up somehow. So that's our reference for later. And let's see. Oh, is this our... Yeah, that's our Ethernet adapter. This one, I don't know what this is. This must be... Actually, given the connectors on it, I think this is a token ring adapter, if I'm not mistaken. I see Madge logo. I think that's how you say it. Mage or Madge. I butchered things when I pronounce them anyway. All of these cards have been 16-bit ISA. They are... I mean, this has ISA in it, and it looks like it's got VESA as well. So, let's see. Madge Smart 16/4 AT plus ring node. Okay. Made in USA. Yeah, 16/4 AT plus ring node. I'm assuming that's a token ring card. I'll have to check that out. We'll look that up later. So we're almost there. We got our 4 slots here. 3 of them have local bus slots. It looks like our DX266 CPU is in fact socketed. So there is socket 3 hiding underneath that. Anyway, I assume that's socket 3. It's been a long time since I've seen a socket 3 CPU. We'll have to lift that out and see later. Okay, next in the chain of cards. So it looks like this system had 1 available slot and everything else was full. Alright. And another interesting thing to me is the graphics card both has an external VGA port and drives the display internally. They're not 2 separate cards or anything like that. Okay, that's strung out like that. So with that, this is the graphics card right here. There's a couple of different interfaces on it, actually, which is kind of interesting. And this has 2 ribbon cables hooked up to it that go to the display. So let's keep taking this out. This is quite interesting. Yeah, it looks like there's even more card slots that end up underneath the power supply somehow. Alright, so this is packed in here rather tightly. You have to undo the IDE cable. And that's still not good enough. So we gotta remove this guy. The red wire was facing that way. Make a note of that. And can I undo the floppy cable one-handed without breaking the card? I'd rather not take that chance. I'm just going to set you all down. Ow. Okay. This is an Acer card, or at least that chip is Acer. MIO-400KF Revision D, made in Taiwan. Parallel port, COM A, so that's a serial port. COM B is the other serial port that's dangling off of this. There is a game port header, which is, it doesn't go anywhere, obviously. And that's it. I mean, it's just a basic I/O card, really. So that leaves us with the graphics board. So we'll grab ye old screwdriver and unscrew that. And I noticed on the motherboard it says 486 ED, designed in USA, and then it has a sticker, 33 megahertz, 256K, revision 1.1. Alright. I gotta set you down again. The system's fairly light. It only weighs 20 pounds, or at least that's what I read in the brochure. This system had an original retail price of $13,000, and I'm not even sure if that was as a network analyzer tool. I think that might have been just for the system itself. So, all right, unplug the cables, and here we go. So this is actually a Dolch branded card, and there's a ROM on here that's handwritten NEC as the label. So the ROM, they must change out depending on the type of display. So that provides, well, I don't know what that provides. I assume that'd be like timing and stuff like that, parameters. Chips and Technologies F65535 and TM1470A 9344-A, Hong Kong. Let's see. And here it is, Dolch Pit Viper 535 is the make and model of this beautiful card that drives a nice old TFT display. Dolch Computer Systems, and it's got a fab number there. That's interesting. That's a nice little card. Cool. So now we're pretty much down to the motherboard, the drives, and the power supply. And it's worth noting that there's 8 slots. This says slot 8. So these 6 slots are available, and I guess the first 2 slots end up lost under the power supply. So how do we proceed? Well, I'm going to go ahead and remove the drive cage, so we'll be back. Okay, I've removed the drive cage. We have a Quantum Pro Drive LPS. And it is the IDE version, of course, so yeah, that'll be That'll be interesting. I'm definitely replacing this with an SSD of some flavor. I'm running out of room. Here, let me move this. Oh, the license plate for the van. Get all this out of the way. Out of the way. Get that out of the way. Alright. Put this here. And I undid all the screws for the power supply already, so this should lift up. And it does. And it's worth noting that there's a fan here. Nidec Beta SL. That's a nice old fan. And I can't remember what they said for the wattage. What was it? 275 watts. So the power supply is probably more like a 250 watt power supply or something like that. Okay, we are in. We are in. Now this has 16 megs of RAM, which means that those 30-pin sticks are 4 megabytes each, and I have 4 more RAM slots available for use. Sweet. Oh, this is interesting. So along with our 8 ESA slots, we have what looks like an 8-bit ISA slot. But it's in a funny position. That's not where an ISA slot would begin if you were to put in an ISA card. But silk screened here on the board, it says EXMEM. So I'm assuming that they're referencing external memory, as if by implying that you can potentially add a memory card right there. Well, if supplying power internally wasn't an issue, I suppose. So, over here we have our AMI BIOS, American Megatrends, copyright 1992, 486DX ESA BIOS. We have the keyboard controller, which says Mega Key on it. Let me grab a flashlight. Mega Key. Copyright 93, American Megatrends. Okay. And then we have our Dallas real-time clock chip. Boo. Over here we have speaker. There's a keyboard lock port. There's a turbo switch header, which is permanently jumpered. There's a turbo LED. We have some other system jumpers that aren't specified. The cache slots are populated, and strangely enough, there's like other cache slots surrounding them? What the heck is this? I don't understand this. I don't understand that. If somebody can elaborate on why the chip sockets are configured that way, I would be curious to know. Don't understand that one. SIS chipset, 85C406 is that one, 85C431, so this is a sys board basically. Cool. So there's also another cooling fan right here kind of by the processor. That's a good place for it. They all spin freely. They're not terribly dusty. Is this socket 3? It is. Indeed it is. And here is our 486 DX266 in all of its socket trace glory. Nice. Alright, better make sure I put this in wrong. Socket 3 was interesting because if you wanted to put the chip in wrong, you could. See? Just like that. And then I get phone calls. So don't do that. Don't put chips in wrong. You'll get phone calls. I hope you enjoyed the tour of my new Lunchbox computer. If you want to see more of it, let me know. Please remember to put your thumb up, your comment, and subscribe. And until next time, have a good one.